and arms haven't been found is because she was beating up and hurting her attacker.
Guys, they have found pictures of them together. The girl who was found dismembered, deceased, in his trunk.
Renowned singer David's career in the entertainment industry has come to a complete end, and he is likely to be formally arrested today. A dismembered body of a girl was found in the trunk of his car, and this girl is underage, named Celeste Rivas.
If you've been following social media over the past week, you've likely encountered the shocking story involving musician David, known professionally as D4vd. The situation began when authorities discovered the remains of an unidentified female in a Tesla vehicle registered under his name. Initially, there was no confirmed link between David and the victim, but recent developments have dramatically changed the narrative. This story has taken an extremely dark turn, and I'm going to provide you with a comprehensive breakdown of all the details that have emerged. Before diving into the latest revelations, let's establish the background context from what was initially known. David, professionally known as D4vd, is a 20-year-old artist from Houston who gained massive popularity through TikTok with his track Romantic Homicide, a viral sensation that accumulated over 1.6 billion streams on Spotify. This breakthrough led to a major record contract, international recognition, concert tours, and significant brand partnerships. On the surface, he appeared to be a young talent living an enviable lifestyle in the entertainment industry. However, approximately 1 week ago, Los Angeles law enforcement made a disturbing discovery that would soon be linked directly to David. On September 8, 2025, police in Los Angeles located decomposed human remains inside a Tesla vehicle, and registration records revealed the car belonged to David Burke, the real name of the popular recording artist. According to official reports, employees at an impound facility detected an unusual odor emanating from the vehicle. Upon investigation, they opened the Tesla's trunk and discovered human remains contained within a bag. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner provided initial details about the victim, a female approximately 5 feet 2 inches tall, weighing 71 pounds, 32 kilograms for international viewers. She had wavy black hair, wore metal stud earrings and a yellow bracelet, and had a distinctive tattoo on her right index finger reading "Shu," indicating silence or secrecy. At that time, authorities had not released the victim's identity, but these details alone were deeply disturbing given the vehicle's connection to the popular musician. The LAPD confirmed the vehicle had been sitting in the impound yard for several days. They contacted David, who was actively touring at the time, to inform him about the discovery in his registered vehicle. David reportedly cooperated with law enforcement and stated he had no knowledge regarding what investigators had found. However, the immediate aftermath began affecting his professional life significantly. Clothing retailer Hollister, which had recently launched a marketing campaign featuring David, quickly removed his promotional images from their website and apparently terminated their business relationship with the artist without public announcement. Simultaneously, the internet community began raising numerous questions about how a young, popular artist with no documented history of violence could suddenly become connected to such a disturbing situation. For the following week, the situation remained uncertain with limited concrete information available. However, subsequent developments have fundamentally altered the entire narrative. A week after the initial news broke, authorities finally confirmed the victim's identity. According to NBC News reporting, forensic analysis identified the remains as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. Celeste had been reported missing from Lake Elsinore in April 2024. According to law enforcement, she departed her family home around 9 p.m. one evening and never returned. Her family distributed missing person flyers, shared her photographs widely, and made desperate public appeals for information that might help bring their daughter home safely. At the time of her disappearance, she was last observed wearing gray pants, a black sweater, and Hello Kitty sandals. When police connected the remains discovered in David's Tesla to Celeste through forensic testing, it represented not only a tragic conclusion but also the end of a year-long search that her family had maintained with desperate hope. Authorities indicated that she had likely been deceased inside that Tesla for an extended period before the body's discovery. Currently, the exact cause of death remains undetermined. The LAPD states that the coroner has not yet classified this case as a homicide or released an official manner of death, and no suspects have been identified at this time. Regarding David himself, real name David Burke, a spokesperson confirmed he was notified about the situation and is providing full cooperation with authorities. At the time, as previously mentioned, he was actively touring, but his scheduled Seattle performance was immediately canceled following the news revelation. With Celeste now officially identified, the tragedy became even more heartbreaking. A 15-year-old girl who had been missing since 2024 was discovered in the trunk of a car registered to a prominent figure in the music industry. As the internet struggled to process these developments, police made their next significant move, demonstrating the seriousness with which they're approaching this investigation. Within 48 hours of Celeste's official identification, investigators took decisive action. Police executed a search warrant at a Hollywood Hills residence where David had been staying. He doesn't own this property, but sources confirmed it was a location where he had been residing recently. This is where the situation becomes more concerning. TMZ reports that the residence was actually rented by David's manager, and detectives did not leave empty-handed. LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division departed with multiple evidence bags and computer equipment. Photographs and videos posted earlier this year actually showed David inside this house, including footage of him singing with producer Benny Blanco in the kitchen and dancing in the living room area. TMZ cross-referenced the interior details from that footage with real estate listings, confirming they matched the property that police searched. Neighbors recall seeing that same Tesla parked outside the residence for multiple days before it was eventually towed, a vehicle with Texas license plates and a noticeable dent that made it stand out on the street. At the time, no one considered it particularly significant, but in retrospect, this may not have been coincidental. Currently, police haven't classified this as a homicide because the medical examiner still hasn't determined exactly how Celeste died. The Tesla was abandoned and towed on September 6th, and just 2 days later, impound lot workers made the horrific discovery. Investigators indicate that the case's progression depends on the coroner's findings, and apparently, the process has been extremely challenging, presumably due to the decomposed state of the remains, which would certainly complicate forensic analysis. No arrests have been made thus far, but the fact that LAPD homicide detectives are searching properties connected to David demonstrates how closely they're examining his world and connections. If these developments weren't concerning enough, the situation has become even more complex with additional details that make this story darker than anyone initially anticipated. According to TMZ, investigators may be examining a direct connection between David and Celeste herself. After TMZ received information suggesting the victim might be Celeste, they contacted her mother for confirmation. Her mother verified 2 crucial details. First, that Celeste apparently had a boyfriend named David, and second, that she had a tattoo on her right index finger reading "Sho." This information aligned exactly with the initial coroner's reports. However, the situation becomes more significant because David himself has the identical tattoo inked on his right index finger. This represents a substantial development in understanding potential connections between them. Let's pause to consider the accumulating evidence. They discovered a body in a Tesla registered to David, which turned out to be 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, missing since April 2024. Celeste's mother confirmed her daughter had a boyfriend named David, and both individuals share identical finger tattoos. The connections don't end there, as the situation continues to develop. TMZ didn't limit their investigation to speaking with Celeste's mother. They actually published photographs and video content that appear to show David and Celeste together. Out of respect for her family, I've blurred her face and identifying details in any visuals referenced here. According to TMZ, one photograph shows them sitting together at a booth in what appears to be a venue, both wearing black clothing. TMZ made an interesting observation. David is wearing the same shirt in that booth photograph as he wore in a picture with singer Billie Eilish from October 2023. TMZ presented this observation to support the photograph's authenticity. This connection is purely observational and doesn't imply anything beyond what they reported. the evidence wasn't limited to photographs. TMZ also published a live stream from January 2024 showing both individuals on camera together responding to fan questions. In the clip, you can hear what appears to be Celeste directing David to respond to a comment, representing direct interaction captured on video. This raised numerous questions, particularly considering we're discussing a 15-year-old girl. TMZ conducted additional investigation and claims to have found another photograph of David in Lake Elsinore, the same city where Celeste disappeared in April 2024 after leaving her home around 9 p.m. and never returning. For context, Lake Elsinore is approximately 70 miles from Los Angeles and represents Celeste's family hometown. The detail that generated significant public reaction is TMZ's claim that the photograph was taken just a 6-minute walk from Celeste's family residence. I want to clarify that this is what TMZ reported, and I'm not suggesting this information implies any particular conclusion. I'm simply reporting their findings. Additionally, police have not named any suspects in Celeste's death. However, according to TMZ, for detectives to obtain that search warrant for the Hollywood Hills residence where David lived but didn't own, investigators needed sufficient probable cause, which led them to seize computer equipment and multiple evidence bags from the property. Given the sensitive nature of this story, I want to approach this coverage very carefully. There are additional photographs and videos of Celeste and David circulating on social media. Receive the worst possible news, and I want to maintain that perspective while breaking down this story. We're focusing strictly on information reported publicly by verified news outlets to keep coverage respectful, accurate, and responsible. An additional development involves a video that surfaced online, published by TMZ, showing one of Celeste's alleged former teachers discussing her in his classroom. He showed students a photograph of himself with Celeste and explained that he had taught her years ago. According to this teacher, Celeste first disappeared after meeting David through social media. He claims she ran away to Hollywood with him before police eventually located her and returned her to her mother. The teacher stated that she went missing again in May 2024, 1 month after being reported missing in April 2024, and that was the last he heard of her until this recent news. He told his class he was sharing this as a cautionary example about social media dangers. Again, these are the teacher's claims as presented in the video. The situation continues to develop with increasing complexity. There are also Discord messages circulating online that people are connecting to this story. Since I personally cannot verify their accuracy, I won't display them in this coverage. However, they exist and are adding additional speculation to this case. Another element people online have been discussing involves a leaked song allegedly featuring David mentioning Celeste by name. The track is supposedly titled, Celeste. I cannot verify the source or authenticity of this content, whether it's legitimate or potentially AI generated. That's precisely why I won't play it here. However, it has been circulating, and the mere belief that such a recording exists has added another unexpected element to the narrative. With everything we've outlined, let's discuss the fallout because the situation is beginning to spiral significantly. Immediately after Celeste was officially identified, David paused his world tour. He was scheduled to perform in European cities including Copenhagen, Stockholm, London, and Poland, but the tour appears to be on hold as of today. Beyond the tour cancellation, several prominent industry artists have begun distancing themselves from David. One notable example is Kali Uchis, a talented singer who is in a relationship with Don Toliver and recently had a baby with him. She collaborated with David earlier this year on a song called Crashing from his debut album Withered. After the news broke about Celeste, Kali publicly responded on Instagram stating that the collaboration is being removed from streaming services. When people in her comments attempted to blame her for working with him, she responded that such reactions represent internalized misogyny, essentially, women consistently being blamed for men's actions, which does occur. Additionally, Canadian pop star Tate McRae, currently one of the biggest mainstream names, has unfollowed David on social media. As previously mentioned, Hollister also removed him from their campaign. The industry reaction is clearly evident. Currently, the situation remains very uncertain. Authorities haven't named suspects and haven't determined the exact cause of death. However, the fact that they searched his residence, seized evidence including computer equipment, and various professional ties are being severed demonstrates how seriously they're treating this investigation. For David, this extends beyond career damage. His entire world hangs in the balance. It's remarkable how this began with Celeste being found in that Tesla and has evolved into one of the most shocking stories the music industry has witnessed in recent memory. This story will continue developing, and eventually we'll learn the truth about what happened to 15-year-old Celeste. I trust that law enforcement will conduct thorough due diligence because ultimately, this isn't merely a headline. It concerns a young girl and her family who deserve answers more than anyone. Regarding David himself, his connection to Celeste is concerning, strange, and honestly quite troubling in my opinion. I'm not declaring guilt, I'm simply stating that his connection to this situation, particularly considering her age, appears problematic. There are too many coincidences for this not to raise serious questions. However, since we don't know what we don't know, it's difficult to take a definitive position on the actual truth. What I do know is that public opinion is forming rapidly, which is why people are examining this situation and sensing something isn't right. My primary concern is that Celeste's family receives justice and discovers what really happened to her, why it occurred, and who bears responsibility. While the internet is captivated because this involves a popular singer who's famous and nobody expected him to be connected to something like this, when you remove all those elements, what matters most is the life that was lost. My condolences extend to Celeste's family, and I pray for strength and comfort during this difficult time. I'll keep you updated as this story develops. I'll be here breaking it down every step of the way until we reach the truth about what's really happening. Make sure you stay connected because I'll provide the most comprehensive coverage. Like this content, leave comments, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next update. What are your thoughts on this situation? Let me know in the comment. Have a great weekend and stay blessed.